It's a 2025 is time out for being anointed and not being skilled. You have to come alongside this man in his bad days, when he's providing or when he doesn't have a job, when he's stressed out about life, when he has a vision or when his vision is blurred. Wife, your responsibility is to undergird that man. Are you ready for that? Or are you just ready to say yes to a dress? In that moment, because your bad parenting and your bad choices, you created a dichotomy for your daughter to show up for you instead of you showing up for her.
And this is the Womanhood series. Today we have Miss Monique. What's the last name now? Because the last name different.
It's okay? White girl.
Period. Okay, so you already know what we're about to get into. Yes. Make sure that you guys give this video a big thumbs up, share it with somebody, and comment something down below. Alright? You already know how this goes. We're going to start with never have I ever.
Okay.
You got to make sure people know we're speaking from experience and not judgment. Okay? So, yeah. Never have I ever smoked weed. If you have, put a finger down.
If I have put a finger down?
If you have put a finger down.
I smoke weed.
Okay, in the past. Yes.
Free y'all.
Yes. Never have I ever dated a drug dealer. I have not done that one.
I have dated a drug dealer.
Oh, wow. What was that like? Was it scary?
It was scary. It was very informative. I realized that I ain't about that life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I have.
I ain't even try that one. Okay, never have I ever slashed tires or bust windows. I did that. It is what it is.
Burning clothes is included.
Put that in there. It's the same thing.
Somebody's clothes.
It's the same thing. Okay, never have I ever been to jail. Unfortunately.
I haven't. I didn't get caught.
See,
but I was a criminal mastermind. I just never got caught.
Yeah, it's not fun. Never have I ever been blindly in love, like dumb in love, like just doing crazy stuff.
Majority of my adolescence.
Exactly. Okay, cool. So we in the room. We're in the room. We about to get into it. I like to start with the woman first because obviously the woman, like that's important. That's the foundation.
Yeah.
So you did grow up in church. That's important to know. I like to start by asking people, what advice would you give your 25-year-old self? I'm 25. And where were you, and what advice would you give her looking back? 25-year-old
self, what advice would I give her? I would tell her to find herself outside of the confines of everybody's opinion of you. Because my life, my 25-year-old existence was based off of what people thought I should do, what people thought I should be. And I was living in church, but really religious. So I really didn't know God. But I had this form of godliness. Yes. So I would tell my 25-year-old self, just sit down and chill. You're going to grow. You're going to learn the experience. But you need to learn based off of knowing God for yourself and not what other people think you should be in God.
It's so good. Yeah. And honestly, especially with growing up in church. I ain't blaming the church, but it's a lot of opinions. You know what I'm saying? And
exactly.
Throw some things out there.
Exactly.
Okay, and I also like to start by asking, what do you think is the difference between a girl and a woman?
A girl and a woman, I would think accountability and responsibility. So for a girl, I would think most, I mentor a lot of girls and a lot of girls that think they're women.
For sure.
But the mindset. So I would say the mindset is the big difference. A woman thinks as it relates to me being accountable with something, even in my own life and my own decisions. A girl more so lives in the moment, doesn't have that accountability or that responsibility factor. So I would think those are the big difference between a girl and a woman.
That's good.
Yeah.
And what's one of the biggest lessons that like you had to learn within your 20s? Like, what's one of the hardest things you faced that you had to overcome within your 20s? And she is a millennial.
I am a millennial, y'all. I know I may look old and sound old. And I got the old church voice sometimes. People say I talk like a preacher. I don't know what that means. But
I don't get that.
I don't know what that means. What I had to, so the biggest thing I had to overcome, we were transparent.
Yes,
in my
absolutely.
20s. Oh my God. So I told y'all I grew up in church, but I was full of perversion. I was very perverted. One of the things I was taught how to read the Bible, study the Bible, all of that good stuff. But I lived from a place of self-loathing and self-hate. Even though I went to church, I hated myself. I hated everything about me. because of being abused as a child. I was sexually abused from the age of 7 to 11. So I had all of this stigma of rape, abuse, molestation, and still quoting scripture. So I had this dichotomy with God. So I knew he was real based off of what people were telling me, but I didn't believe he was real based off the pain I endured as a child. So I felt like God never showed up for me. So I was just going through the motions, even preaching at 7 years old. So I ended up falling into this place of perversion. I was into same-sex attraction. Not just attraction, I was actually with females. Right? So my life was full of perversion. So I was really steeped in it. Very religious and very perverted. I didn't care if you were male or female. I just felt like if I needed to release, or if I needed to feel some sense of, because I was very numb as a child, and I would do all kinds of things like be promiscuous and be in different lifestyles just to feel some sense of feeling. So that was the biggest thing I had to break. And spirit of perversion, it was very strong. Yes. I could preach and prophesy and sleep with a woman the same day. It was that bad. Yeah. So people don't like to talk about that in the church. But
that's so real.
That's so real.
I can totally identify with everything that you're saying. Yeah. Like, and that's why I think these conversations are necessary. Yeah. Because like,
shout out to you for doing this.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, it took some pain and mercy, but it's all right. Eternity give you beautiful ashes. Okay. No. But yeah. What is one way that you as a woman are intentional to show yourself self-love? Because I feel like we don't talk about that enough.
We don't.
Especially as women, we pour out so much. Yeah. And lose ourselves a lot of times. Yeah. So how are you intentional for that?
So my biggest thing now that I'm in a place of being whole and healed is knowing that the Bible says that I wish above all things that you would prosper and be in good health, even as your soul prospers. God don't want us just up here preaching and prophesying and showing up to ministry, and we're not taking care of the soul part of us. Apostle said it today about the soul man. You need to make sure every part of your being is taken care of. So what I do, I've learned how to say no. That was the biggest thing. Oh my God, no!
Bro, can we talk about how hard it is to say no when you've experienced abuse?
Come on!
When you didn't get an option for no?
Oh my God.
Okay.
You overcompensate with yeses all the time, and you don't want to hurt nobody's feelings. You don't want to lose friendships, relationships. But baby, when I learned how to say no, my life changed. It went on a whole nother trajectory. So I had to say no without worrying about how people would feel about my no. So when I began to do that, I realized, okay, I am important. I am valuable. I remember when I started working out, because dealing with a lot of depression and perversion, you self-inflict wounds on yourself.
You do.
So I was self-inflicting wounds on myself, and didn't realize that my weight gain, my lack of caring for myself was a result of all of that abuse I experienced. Exactly. So when I began to say no, I said, okay, I am a person of value, and I should work out, and I should eat healthy, and I should find a better circle that's basically cultivating where I'm trying to go, not where I came from. So everything about my life shifted when I began to say no to them and yes to myself. So self-care is very important, and it's a part of our life in ministry, especially if you're doing any level of ministry. I've seen people worn down in ministry because they never knew how to say no. They thought showing up for people was showing up for God, and it's not the same. They're not the same. You can show up for people, and God is like, dude, you ain't even spent no time with me. You haven't prayed. You haven't seen what I want out of your life. So me saying no and really looking inwardly to see how I could heal and be better is what changed my life. So no is a beautiful word, girl.
God. First of all, Monique, shout out to you for like how transparent you are.
Very.
Like, especially in today's world, everybody's trying to portray a perfect life.
Come on, man.
So to have those people who are like, listen, this is what I've been through. This is what I've had to overcome. This is what I had to learn. Is for me personally a breath of fresh air.
Come on.
It's needed because ain't none of us perfect.
None of us.
No, we can act like we is, but ain't none of us perfect.
How exhausting
so to see people, it's so exhausting.
It's so exhausting.
Bro.
It's a facade.
So to have people like you who are so open, like this is what I dealt with, this is what I've been through. Thank you.
Hey man, girl.
Just thank you. Like, bro. Okay, and then also, you recently went back to school and graduated.
Girl, valedictorian.
Congratulations.
Hey,
like, everybody who knows Mo is not surprised. First of all, let's just start there. Everybody who knows you is not surprised. But to somebody who feels like it's too late, who has much of excuses, how would you encourage them to, like, you know, love themselves? That's a form of loving yourself, investing in yourself. Yeah. So what would you say to that person?
I would say, you said something powerful. It's never too late. If you know, I realize that because of the pain I experienced and the self-loathing and the self-hate, I put a cap on my life. right? And a lot of us put caps on our life thinking that we can't go further than what God, there's so much that God has in store for us, but we put caps on it based off our own traumas and our own experiences. So I know God, this is how it changed my life. God told me, he said, Monique, what if you stop giving me bare minimum? How far do you think you could go in this season?
Wow.
So in 2018, God literally, I was walking around the track and God said, you've been giving me bare minimum your whole entire life. I grew up, like people say, yeah, I'm not surprised. I grew up in gifted classes. So I was very gifted, but I was negligent with my gifting. So because I thought I was smart and I never had to study for a test, I always passed the test. That made me very lazy and prideful. So God said, this season, I want you to stop doing things just bare minimum. I know if I do it, I'm going to succeed. But what if you allow yourself to go through a process, because there's more on the other side of the journey. Wow. So God told me, he said, Monique, in this season, I want you to stop giving me bare minimum. And I was like, what does that mean? He said, I need you to sit under people that know more than you.
Wow.
Because I was like, man, I was always around. People always pull on me for information, but I never had any mentors, never had any accountabilities, never had those people. And God said in 2018, I want you to stop speaking, stop accepting speaking engagements. I had to stop. That was hard because some people were paying me for those engagements. He said, but you only know what you know. It's time for you to sit at the feet of people and learn. He said, this is the season of studying and being a student. So I signed up for school. I was like, I'm just going to go through it. Even then, when I began, I was going through the motions. But God said, no, just hone in on what you can be and what I have for you on the other side of this. Yeah. Wasn't even think about being a life coach, a certified life coach. Wasn't thinking about getting a degree. I just was doing it because I just, But God really broke through. And in that process, he showed me that there was still a little girl in me didn't think I deserved better. And while I was going through and I was succeeding, I was getting all these rewards. God said, this is what I want for your life. I want you to understand that I don't just want you to be the girl that's preaching and prophesying, but you're broke. There's so many people that have these gifts and talents and abilities but can't take care of their family. And I said it today, it pays to be you. When you are walking in the purpose that God intends for you to walk in the earth, you don't have to go out here trying to find. God said the gifts and callings will make room for you. And so go back. If you are desiring to go back to school, if you're desiring to further your career, get a skill. Listen, 2025 is time out for being anointed and not being skilled. I was anointed my whole life with no skills. So now, but to get skills, you have to go run to people who are skilled. You have to go to people who know more than you and not be intimidated to sit at somebody's feet and learn. So that's what I had to do in this season.
That is good. That is good right there. Okay. So we are going to get into marriage.
All right.
So, yes, you were married before. How long were you married the first time?
I got married before. I was married for like 8 years. I got married at a young age, like 19 or 20. So
I got married at 22 and that's great.
I was 20 years old and didn't know who I was when I got married the first time.
Since you brought it up, why is that so dangerous?
It is, oh my God. The reason why getting married, not knowing your identity is dangerous is because you become something in a marriage you were never supposed to be. You begin to overcompensate. Absolutely. You deal with all kinds of traumas, unnecessary experiences that you don't have to deal with. If you would have just went through the process of learning you. I'm writing my book. I didn't put it out there.
Oh, yes.
I have a book coming out, guys, real cool. It's called Settled in My Singleness.
Wow.
And what I'm trying to teach women in their single season is to know who you are before you say I do. A lot of times we jump into marriage without knowing our identity. And now when we're married, that marriage becomes our identity. Exactly. And we don't know who we are. We don't know what we like, what we're supposed to be. And if you don't know your purpose, you're already messed up. Because now your marriage, everything about your life becomes your purpose. Marriage is not my purpose. I love my husband. I'm married to an amazing man. But he's not my purpose. Right. He's not my end all be all. Right. So I had to discover that before I got into marriage. And doing that made me, now I'm in a place where I can be me individually. I know who I am individually and I know who I am as a wife. And they don't merge. They don't blur. The lines don't blur. So it's important to know who you are before you say I do, women. It's good to be married. I listen, I love it. But I thank God there's some things my husband's going through now that if I didn't know myself in my single season, I wouldn't be able to handle these trials in my married season. Wow. So you need to know who you are in your single season before you say I do.
Yes. When you don't know who you are, you're going to be codependent. Interdependent.
Ooh. Say that word, girl. That's a powerful word.
That's what I'm learning.
Do y'all hear what she just said? Interdependent.
No, it is not good to be codependent. And marriage ain't good.
I'm about to run, but I'm going to mess up your setup.
Listen.
I can't do that.
Marriage is nice, but in the right way. Okay? Yeah. All right. But, okay. So, how did you know you were ready this time? Because last time when you got married, Why did you say you got married the first time?
Because of church.
Exactly.
And I tell you, listen, I grew up in church. I was always a minister of the gospel. I was always preaching. I was an elder at 20 years old, elder of the church. And one of the things that I was beat into this ideology of you need to be married. They didn't care about my emotional state. They didn't care about my identity. They just knew that, to be in leadership, because I was in leadership, you need to be married. So it was this pressing to be married. I was still dealing with the sexual trauma of my abuse, still dealing with perversion, because marriage don't heal the whole. I was still dealing with all...
Wait a minute! You're right. Now, hold on. You're not just going to run past that like you just... Okay.
Marriage does not heal whoredom. It actually exposes those voids in you when you say I do to a person. So while I'm married, I'm still having thoughts. I'm like, well, I'm having these thoughts because this man should feed that or feel that. No, marriage does not heal those voids. So I got married because of the pressure of church. And I've been in church my whole life. So it started wrong. So it ended wrong. And I was not at the end of myself. You know, we say the end of yourself. People always say that, but they don't explain what that looks like.
Exactly.
What does it look like to come to the end of yourself? And so how did I know I was ready this time? I had no autonomy of my own. I wanted to marry my husband knowing that he was the leader and I was coming into agreement with what God had called him to be in my life. It was no more Monique involved. And that's when I knew that I was out of my... God said there was a season. I felt my single season ending. And the Bible said that and every time there's a purpose and a season under the heavens. And I knew that, okay, I kind of want to share because I was a real selfish girl. I ain't like sharing. I really was wanting to share myself with somebody, my things with somebody. I didn't like sharing. Listen, I eat off your plate, but don't eat off mine. So when I realized that was ending, I was like, okay, now the conversation is leaving from me to us. And I was like, okay, I'm ready for this. And that's when I knew I was ready, I didn't have to force it. That's another thing. I didn't have to force being ready. Some women force being ready because they're ready to get married. There's a desperation to be married, and now you're forcing, and you're not looking at your emotions are not ready for this role yet. But I just want to be married because Facebook is showing all my friends getting married and everybody else. So when my language began to change, that's when I knew I was ready to be a wife. Yeah. Because the Bible says a man that finds a wife. I should have been a wife when he found me. I shouldn't be becoming a wife when he says, no. Some women wait till the I do to become a wife when you should have been a wife when he was looking. And that's the process of getting healed and whole and getting developed to be that person in that role.
Yes, it's not just about becoming the wife per se, it's about becoming the woman.
The woman.
Because if you're still a girl, you can't skip from girl to wife.
You can.
You gotta become the woman first.
Become the woman.
So, and what would you say is the difference between this marriage versus the last marriage outside of the reason why you got married? Like, would you say it's your mindset? Like, what's the difference?
I would say the biggest thing is my mindset. So, like I said, I came into this marriage knowing that I covenanted with God to become no longer Monique, but his wife. So when I came into this marriage, it was not a fight. It was such an ease. It was such a flow. Like my husband tells the story that he didn't even ask me to marry him. He said we get married today, right? We were so ready. Like we didn't have an engagement. Like we didn't have an engagement. He said today or today we get married. Go get ready. We showed up. Period. I was like, I ain't got no dress. You don't need one. Go find something in the closet. We were so ready because we went through 3 years of processing. Yeah. When everybody was telling us, y'all need to get married. People were telling me that man using you. They would tell, girl, it was bad.
People need to mind
their business.
I would just say,
that man using you. People were telling me that. People were telling him that you playing with her, you not ready. But God had gave us specific instructions about our 3-year process. He was showing him what he needed to heal in. He was showing me what I needed to heal in. Because God told me, he said, Monique, if you enter this in the state you are now, you're going to break him. And he's going to break you. So we would see things in each other while we were dating, like, we're going to take a sabbatical from each other because I don't like what I just saw. Yeah. And if we enter into a covenant, this is going to be worse when we get in this relationship. So I knew because I was dating a man who was ready. He was already ready to be a husband. He wasn't trying to be a husband because that was the thing to do. He was already showing the signs of a husband. He was showing the protector, the provider. All of that was so clear. And it was easy to transition to that role. So that's what made it easy. Us both having the mindset. Marriage is what we want. Covenant is what we want to do. And we were ready to walk in that. So it was very easy.
Okay.
Now, afterward, it was a different story.
Yeah. Everybody who's married knows.
After,
when you say I do,
it gets crazy.
The whole demonic realm be like, all right.
The whole
let's play something.
The devils, the warlocks, and the witches come out.
All right. Okay, so like you said, you mentor a lot of girls and stuff like that. So if someone came to you and she was just like, oh my God, I want to be married so bad, like I'm so ready. Girls DM me and they're like, oh my God, what is it like? Like I want to be married. Oh my God, I love you guys. I'm like, listen, first of all, you don't know what happens in my house, okay? Okay, that's a picture. A picture is less than a second, okay?
Oh, that's good.
So, if somebody came to you and was like, oh my God, I just want to be married. I know my husband out there. We gonna start a church together. No, let me stop.
Nah, they be saying that, girl.
No, for real. But what would you say?
So, listen, I hear this. This is what I hear all the time. And it's crazy that you say that. Everyone has this idea of what marriage is. This beautiful picture that Hallmark created, that Disney Channel and Disney movies created, the happily ever after. And I have a lot of women telling me, Monique, I want to get married. Oh my, I'm so ready. And I ask this one question: what does that look like? Because I literally had one girl tell me legal sex. Oh baby, if you get married for legal sex, you finna be
God, baby,
don't do it. And I said, that's what I just want. The day, I just want the wedding dress, I want the venue, and I get that. Baby, those are parts. Those are very small parts. Very small parts. And one of the things I tell people, I have a counseling session. One of the things I do at my ministry is, if you want to be married, tell me what that looks like. Not what the world says. And especially if you're a believer, you should have a biblical standard of what marriage. If you don't even know the biblical standard of marriage, you're already confused. So what I do is I let you have to walk through, what does marriage look like to you? Do you understand that a wife is a constant intercessor? Do you understand that you cannot be in your feelings about fickle stuff because that don't matter? Do you not know that God has called you to be the helpmeet, meaning you have to come alongside this man in his bad days, when he's providing or when he doesn't have a job, when he's stressed out about life, when he has a vision or when his vision is blurred. Wife, your responsibility is to undergird that man. Are you ready for that? Or are you just ready to say yes to a dress? Because it's not just saying yes to a dress, it's saying yes to a committed lifestyle that never changes. Sickness and health. I'm literally going through something right now that God had literally, I had to create this in my mindset before I said I do. Because now I'm living through better or worse, sickness and death, sickness and health. I got to take care of a man that I'm going to consider a newlywed. And my husband had a stroke 8 months into the marriage. I have to get off, everything that I expected from him to be as a provider. Now I have to say, okay, what do I do when it's me holding up everything? And if you're not ready for that, when you're walking into a marriage for the fickle things, baby, you're gonna get a rude awakening. So you have to know who you are, what role you play in the marriage. Can I be the sounding board for my husband when he doesn't have any sound logic right now? Because men go through too. Men are emotional. I didn't realize how emotional
they are. Emotional. Don't be listening to social media talking about, they're only logical.
Nah, baby.
That's them single people telling y'all that. Okay.
Men show their emotions in different ways, but they are emotional. So can you as a woman put your emotions to the side to be the intercessor to undergird your husband when he's emotional? Or are you going to hold that against him because you're a man and you shouldn't be feeling like that? So you have to know, what is the role you play? How are you anointed to come alongside the man that you are called to marry? So it's bigger than just the dress and the wedding day and the venue.
And I be telling people, if you have peace as a single person, that's a blessing. Because you can marry somebody who, got a lot going on inside, and that's your mess now. So now y'all both gotta have that mess together. And
that's y'all mess.
So appreciate the peaceful single life, huh? Okay. Okay, so a little bit into motherhood. Okay, so you didn't grow up with your mom.
No.
So with you being a mom, like, how did that affect things?
So the majority of my life growing up, and I was a young mother, I got pregnant at a young age. Well, my first daughter I got pregnant with, she was murdered. My first daughter was murdered. And I don't know if you know the story, but a guy broke into my house, abducted me at knife point, and my baby died inside of me. So I lost my first daughter. So even not really having the love of a mother or father, I didn't grow up with my mother or my father. So when I became a mother, I parented in fear. The majority of my life was parenting from this fearful place because I dealt with rejection and abandonment so bad. So I've always lived like my kids are gonna leave or my kids are gonna. It was this fear that I had my entire life. So, and then I was real religious on top of that. So I expected them to live a certain lifestyle.
I was like, religion just make everything worse.
Like 10 times worse. So not only am I dealing with my own trauma from my parents, I'm pushing it on my children and I'm coupling that with religion. Oh my God. Lord, thank you kids for forgiving me. My kids forgave me like 3 years ago because I had to go to my kids and ask for forgiveness. Yes. I had to have that real conversation with my children because I realized I broke y'all because I was broken. I was trying to parent from a broken place. And then one of the things that God told me, he said, Monique, you over here counseling all these people in the church and your children are suffering. And I told my kids one day, and I said, I need y'all to be honest with me. Be transparent. I'm going to give y'all the floor. Tell me how I was as a mother. Man, it was 3 hours of telling how horrible I was. But God said, don't you open your mouth. You let them talk.
I literally just interviewed somebody, and she said God told her the exact same thing that you're saying.
It's real.
That is crazy.
It's real. No, you're fine. And God said, and I remember, because, you know, I grew up in a society like, I'm your mama, you listen to what I say, you know, don't do what, you know, that whole toxic parenting that we release over our children that we need to ask God to heal us from and deliver our children from the toxicity that we produce. So the three hours, they were going back tag teaming. Hey, Ma, and then, you know, when you had that lady in the house that you said with your friend, hey, Ma, it was back and forth. And God said, don't you open your mouth, let them vent. And it was 3 hours. At the end of it all, I couldn't say anything, but I'm sorry.
Wow.
I couldn't say, well, I did not try to give them reasoning why I was that. Because a lot of times the reason why our children can't heal, because we try to justify how we broke them. We try to justify the brokenness. That is an issue. I'm a parent. It is not their fault. When God showed me my daughter saved my life. God showed me when my ex-husband tried to kill me because I was cheating. Let's be honest. I was out here. I ain't cheating. Right? Because I tell the story, he tried to kill me, but what did you do? Anyway, so God had to say, be honest all the way around. So I was cheating. And I was having an emotional relationship with somebody that was not my spouse. And he found out. He went to my phone and found the message, girl. I'm laying in the bed. He come to my knife with a butcher knife over my bed getting ready to stab me. My daughter was 10 at the time. She jumped in front of the knife, laid on top of me. And he was getting ready to stab her. That's the only reason that made him snap out of that homicidal state was his little girl laying over me. But God said, in that moment, because your bad parenting and your bad choices, you created a dichotomy for your daughter to show up for you instead of you showing up for her.
Whoa.
My daughter, her whole life was trying to protect me. Mom, she had this overcompensation of making sure I was okay. Whoa. Because I perverted the dynamic by not living how I was supposed to live as a whole parent.
Wow.
So her whole life was overcompensating for me. She didn't even live her life making sure I was good. So God said, now how do you fix that? You got to admit that you created that paradigm in her.
Wow.
And her lifestyle, she started going after the same men that I went after. She started devaluing herself because she saw abuse for her mom. And it was all because I didn't let go of what my mom did to me all these years ago. So I had to go back to the basics, had to go back to the foundation, forgive my mom for not being in my life. Because one of the things I said, it's a thing I tell people that I counsel. The thing you fear, you become. So I used to say, I'm never going to be like my mama because she was never there. But I was there for my kids physically, but not emotionally. I abandoned them emotionally. My mom abandoned me physically, but I repeated the cycle emotionally with my children. So I had to forgive my mom and be that parent that my kids, we have a beautiful relationship now, but I let them tell me how horrible I was. And I didn't get offended by it. Because sometimes you got to birth your children again. And I'm birthing my children again into the things of God because I allowed them to vent their frustrations for me as a parent. So that was a very eye-opening experience, girl.
I love this so much because we literally just talked about all of this with somebody that they should be out before this one, but that's crazy. Wow. So God is obviously after something.
He is, come on.
Because everything that you just said, she said the same thing, like verbatim. This is crazy. Wow. Okay, so, and let's go a little bit deeper. Okay. You know, because you talked about, and I feel like this is something God is working with me about, is like me learning how to honor the parent that I felt like, you know, was harmful. You know what I'm saying? So if you had to explain that to me, like, how did you forgive? Because, you know, you can feel like you forgive, but it's still like you kind of have that, like, You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like, how did you forgive? For real? Was it seeing the effects of it, or
no? How do I? Okay, so and this is where you have to take the feeling out of it. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I'm a very analytical, logical person. It has to make sense to me.
Yes, me too. That's my problem.
That's my problem, and that was my problem.
Yeah.
And the Holy Spirit had to tell me. He said, Monique, you're trying to feel this based off of logic and not principle. He said, take the logic out of it, because I'm not seeing, because I remember I came to my mom and told her that she hurt me, and told her that the fact that you left me at 6 months old, gave me up and kept all of my other siblings, hurt me. Her response to me, well, you're doing good. So,
well then.
Okay, well then, all right. So that hurt me.
Yeah.
And God said, okay, that's a logical, that your logical mind is saying she don't get it, she don't understand, why should I forgive? Why should I honor a woman that don't even see what she did was wrong? And God said, this is where you take the logic out and you apply the principle. Because the Bible said, honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise. He said, you keep asking me for promises and you wonder why you're never getting them. He said, you keep asking me for promises. God, I had a whole prayer list that I wanted from God, my life, my family, my finances. He said, you asking me from all of these promises. And he said, you are forgetting the principle of honor. Honor your father and mother, which is the first commandment with promise. That means this commandment produces promises in your life that really flow in abundance if you understand the principle outside of your logic.
My God.
And that was the hardest thing for me to do. So I didn't see the pattern of her changing, and I couldn't care about that. I had to see that if I honored her, the principle worked for my life.
And the scripture is honoring your father and your mother so that it may be
well with you.
It don't even say nothing specific. It. So that could be holding up something in your adult life.
What are you holding up?
God is trying to help me with that. And I'm just like, Jesus, make it make sense.
That's good. What it are you holding up? It could be anything.
Literally.
What are you holding up? And then we get mad and we praying into seasons and we prophesying for things to change. And God said, I just want you to honor a person that you don't think deserves it. The same thing with marriage. I don't honor my husband because he's a great husband, and he is. I honor him because he's the head of my house.
Wow. And
if whatever he does, that doesn't deviate me from honoring him. Because I understand the moment I step in dishonor, now the umbrella of my house the roof of my house has been exposed to everything that can bring harm to my marriage and everything else. And that's why a lot of people have all of these things in their houses that shouldn't be, because you missed one principle, honoring. It's not logic, it's principle.
Oh my God. This is so good. Like, oh my God. Okay. I did have one more question about motherhood. Which you already touched on. Now I was gonna ask whether some ways that you're intentional to be a good steward. Do you have anything else? You already touched on it, you know? As
a parent, how?
Yeah, just as a mom.
As a mom, I'm very accountable. I allow my kids to be my accountability. A lot of us go outside for accountability, which is nothing wrong with that. You can go outside. But I've learned that putting people in your space that know you more than anybody, and they can hold you accountable to what you say. My children are my greatest accountability, because your child will tell you, Mom, Ma, you tripping now. You nice enough church.
She'll tell you.
Exactly. So I allow them to be that accountability. We have, one of the things I do in my house, we have come to Jesus meetings, I call them. But it's meetings for us to sit around, and it don't even go about Jesus or the Bible. It's just we meet with each other and we assess our day, how we can be better. How can I be a better servant to you as your mom? Right? I never want to feel like I arrived just because my kids are grown. Well, my daughter's 22 and my son is 16. And they're big, but I still want to always know that I am still a servant to you. I am still a steward. So if you need me, how was your day? Like, we have an amazing relationship. So I think as parents, we can't get to especially Christian parents. Right. Sometimes as Christian parents, we put the church in front of our children, and that's a sad reality when everybody else got your time, attention, and focus but your children. So, and I make sure they know that you come first before anything else. So that's how I steward that relationship.
That's good. That's some good stuff. Okay, and one last thing, and then we're gonna promote all that you have to promote.
All right.
But okay, so something that's really big right now, and you've done a live on it because you have your ministry, The Heart of the Matter.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and you did a live on narcissism.
Oh, yeah.
Now, for me, I want to talk about this because we see so much on social media where narcissists can't change. Okay, but you said...
You're looking at a delivered narcissist.
Okay, now let's get into it, because if somebody was, you know, with a narcissist, social media will diminish your faith. You hear me? It's
So
like,
I see people divorce husbands. Your husband a narcissist, now you get a divorce. Man, stop.
oh, damn. Like, that's all you see.
Yeah.
So, okay, how did you realize you was a narcissist? What would you say to somebody who's, you know, encountering one or in relationship with one? Yeah, like, just debunk this.
Yeah. So I'm going to look at the camera and say this, because you might be watching and you're a narcissist, all right?
No, literally. Like,
and I'm going to tell you how you know. And I'm going to tell you, so, again, I'm so glad you said that, because we live in a social media age where everybody diagnosed and self-diagnosed. But one of the things I know as a believer, that there's nothing that Jesus cannot heal, cure, deliver, and set free. I was a homosexual and a narcissist. Most people that deal, let me tell you this, most people that deal with deep levels of trauma are narcissists. And this is why all a narcissist is a person that needs to control the narrative. You have to control. Because of my trauma and my pain, I had to control everything around me because I did not want to hurt. Most narcissists are really little kids still trying to heal from something that happened on the inside of them. And this is a danger in social media culture and self-diagnosing people. You kick somebody to the curb without extending them the grace of God that can heal, deliver, and set free. Wow. So as a person that dealt with sexual abuse, I lived in the fear of being out of control. So I had to control everything. If you were in my life, baby, I would control your thoughts and you didn't even know it. I was so good. I was very manipulative. I have a talk game, y'all. I thank God that God delivered my language, because I knew how to say something to make you feel this small. I knew how to make you, what's the call? There's the term. I knew how to, it's a term that people use, what narcissists do. I can't gaslight, girl. I will gaslight you in a minute. I will be the problem and make you feel it was you.
My God.
Because the truth of the matter was, I didn't want you to see me. Because the 7-year-old girl that was being raped for 4 years, I vowed, this is what I told myself in my trauma. I would never let another N-word, I'm not going to say it on this live, I would never let a man hurt me, another man hurt me. So I put up these pseudo walls of protection. So to interface my world, I had to interface from manipulation, and I had to interface it from abuse, because this was my way of protecting myself. So when God showed me, you have become your own God. Narcissists live with a God-like complex. I had become my own God, and I was making sure that nobody came in my space, and I would hurt you if I had to keep you out of it. So God had to heal me from narcissism, because I realized there was a trail of broken people behind me. Relationships, family members, I hurt people because of that. So I had to realize that I had to heal. You got to go through healing. You got to get to the root of your issues. I tell people all this, stop diagnosing people if you ain't gonna help them. And the church does it too much. We could call people Jezebel, narcissist. We so quick to call somebody what they are, but don't have the tools to bring people out of what they need to be brought out of.
Because behind all those labels is somebody that's hurting.
A little boy, a little girl that needs love. And there's nobody. If God can save Paul, a murderous man that killed Christians, he was a narcissist. He believed his way was the only way that was right.
For sure.
So he was healed. So if God can heal him and use him mightily, why can't he use a narcissist, your uncle the narcissist, or your husband the narcissist? So we got to understand that it requires a level of healing and having honest conversations, and stop listening to every social media psychologist on Facebook, and go to God for that person and really want them healed, and you will see it. I'm a delivered narcissist. God delivered me from narcissism, and now I can love without, because the main thing is narcissists can't love because they love from a place of fear. And the Bible said perfect love casts out all fear. If I love from fear, I'm always going to self-protect and self-sabotage. And I'm going to hurt you in the process if I have to.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So, well, okay. That's good, and that's encouraging.
Yeah.
That is so encouraging. Okay, so thank you for sitting down with me.
You are welcome.
First of all, Monique is a life coach now, y'all. So we're going to leave the link in the bio down below if you want to book with her.
Yes.
Do you have any events coming up? She got a book coming out. That will be in the bio whenever it comes out.
Settled in My Singleness, my first book that's coming out on my process of singlehood and how God took me through the process before marriage. That's coming out soon. I do have an event coming up. Charity will be there, y'all. So I have an event called I'm Not Weak, I'm a Wife. And it's not listen, period. It sounds like a marriage conference, but it's not. It's for married and single women. For the single woman, it's to make sure you're whole before you aspire marriage, but for the married woman, it's for you to understand your role as a wife. We're intercessors. We're nurturers. We need to understand that. So that's what that conference is. Charity is going to be our moderator for the panel discussion. Y'all, please look out for that. I will have more information on that later. And yeah, I'm a life coach, so I'm booking clients now, and my approach is the whole man. So fitness, emotional intelligence, soul work, all of that. So my life coach is extensive. It's on all of the whole. I want you to be whole in this season. Amen.
Yes.
Amen.
Listen. All right. Thank you again for sitting down with me.
Welcome.
I appreciate you. I love you.
I love you.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm proud of Charity, y'all.
Thank you.
Don't make me cry on the night. I'm trying to be a G. Y'all, before I go, Charity thought she was a G. She would be a G.
I thought I was.
But she is such a soft, beautiful woman.
I am. I'm gonna cry, baby. But it's okay. We're learning how to cry. No. But all right. Thank you guys again for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and share this video. See y'all next time. Bye.
Bye.